let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about a massive shift in the tech that runs pretty much everything. For decades, the rules of the chip game were totally set in stone. But then, one company came along and decided to build a whole new stadium.
For, as long as I can remember, the race was all about one thing. Who could make the tiniest, most jam-packed chip? But, you know what? That's not the whole story anymore. Today, the winner isn't just the one with the smallest chip. It's the one with the smartest package. Basically how all those little pieces are put together.
And that brings us to the big question, right? How did one company, TSMC, manage to pull off a pivot so big that they ended up rewriting the rulebook for the entire world? It's a pretty incredible story.
So, to really get this, we first have to understand what the old world looked like. For decades, the playing field, well, it had a very, very clear set of rules. For years and years, success was measured by this one thing: node scaling. It's all about the front-end process, making the transistors themselves smaller and smaller. You know, that jump from a 14-nanometer chip down to 7-nanometer and then to 5, that was the game. That was literally the only thing that mattered.
So how do you change a game that everybody's been playing for decades? Well, you don't. You just introduce a totally new way to win. And for TSMC, that all started when they captured the ultimate prize in tech, getting an exclusive contract with Apple. And just look at how fast things changed. For the iPhone's success, the A9 chip was this huge battle, split between the two giants, Samsung and TSMC. But then, boom, with the iPhone 7's A10 chip, everything flipped. TSMC snatched the entire contract. They became the sole supplier. I mean, this was a seismic shock to the industry.
So you gotta ask, right? How in the world did they do it? What was the secret weapon that TSMC had up its sleeve that let them just completely sideline their biggest rival and win over the most demanding customer on the planet?
Well, here it is. The answer was a breakthrough in packaging called InFO, or integrated fan-out. Now, I know it sounds super complex, but the idea behind it is actually genius. By literally removing an entire layer, the substrate, from the chip package, they did three things that are pure gold to a hardware designer. The chip got thinner, it ran cooler, and it performed faster.
And the impact was just huge. We're talking about chopping the package thickness by over 20%. In the world of microelectronics, that is an absolutely massive leap forward. And here's why that matters so much. Inside something like an iPhone, every single fraction of a millimeter is precious real estate. Saving that kind of space could mean you can fit in a slightly bigger battery, or a better camera, or some other new feature. For a company like Apple, this wasn't just a small improvement. It was a total game changer.
And the payoff was immense. Winning Apple's exclusive business turned into a massive, super stable revenue stream for TSMC, a true cash cow. And all that steady money is exactly what allowed them to fund the insane R&D costs for the next generation of tech, 7-nanometer, 5-nanometer, and on and on. It created this amazing cycle of success.
But here's the thing. TSMC didn't just stop with a tech victory. They used that momentum to completely change the business model for the whole industry. They basically became the all-in-one factory. Okay, this right here shows you the genius of what they did. The old way, well, it was kind of a mess. A company would design a chip, then they'd send it to a foundry to make the wafer, and then they'd have to send that to a totally different company for packaging. TSMC's new way was just brilliantly simple. You design it, we do everything else. The wafer, the advanced packaging, all under one roof. A true turnkey service. And I mean, the advantages for chip designers were just overwhelming. Suddenly, your logistics costs go down. You can get your product to market way faster. And TSMC could actually guarantee the final performance and yield of the chip. Plus, you only had to talk to one company. It was an incredibly powerful sales pitch. So, what did this new model create? It created this powerful lock-in effect. Once these high-end chip designers started using TSMC's whole integrated system, combining their world-class wafers with their bleeding-edge packaging, it became incredibly difficult and really expensive for them to ever leave that ecosystem. And this, right here, is where the story connects directly to today's world. That early expertise they built in packaging, it didn't just win them the smartphone wars. It actually laid the foundation for their complete and total dominance in the age of AI. You can literally draw a straight line. The skills and the know-how they got from perfecting InFO, those were the direct ancestors of their next-gen packaging tech, like CoWoS and SOEC. And altogether, these form what TSMC calls its 3D fabric platform, which is the essential building block for pretty much all modern AI hardware. And here's the bottom line. The most powerful AI chips in the world today, the ones from NVIDIA that are fueling this entire AI revolution, are physically impossible to make without TSMC's CoOS packaging. They've gone from being a supplier to being an absolute necessity. To put it as bluntly as possible, the innovation from companies like NVIDIA is built on a foundation that only TSMC can provide. Without their groundbreaking work in packaging, the AI revolution as we know it just couldn't happen.
So what's the big takeaway here? It means the rules of the game have been completely thrown out. Let's look at the new world TSMC created. Remember how we started with this idea that the game changed from being about the smallest chip to the smartest package? Well, this really brings it full circle. TSMC evolved from just being a world-class chip maker, the best contractor you could hire, into something way, way bigger, the essential, irreplaceable platform that global tech innovation is now built on. By focusing on the package, not just the chip, TSMC became the master of a new game they basically invented themselves. Which leaves us with one last really interesting question. As technology keeps racing forward, who's going to be the one to write the rules for the next game?